We've learned that reaching our goals isn't always easy and that sometimes life can throw us very unexpected challenges. So please tell us about your greatest challenge or your greatest setback and how you overcame it. We'll go in the same order as we did for introductions. So, Christina, we'll hear from you first.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjana. So, um, I, I, I I struggled with this one. There's so many challenges that we could talk about. I'm sure that we don't do it enough. Like we need to share our failures more openly, and then what are the lessons that we learn from them. But the one that really rose to the top for me was I figured out probably in 2010 that this was the work that I wanted to do. This being diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I worked for about 6 years. Picking up what I call as my side hustles inside my company to try to get closer to the work. I was doing something very different. I was leading a sales team. I worked in marketing. I did a lot of other things. But there's not a lot of people that get to work in this space. They're usually teeny tiny teams. Nobody leaves, and so you're constantly like knocking on the door. Let me in. What can I do to show that I have what it takes? And my biggest setback is the company that I was with at the time knew that this was my aspiration. I had done a lot of additional sort of extracurricular activities to gain all of these skills, and a role came open and I wasn't even considered like at all. And it was crushing. It was heartbreaking. And it wasn't because the will wasn't there and everybody knew that I wanted to do it. It was just there was a very specific skill set that the organization was looking for and I just didn't have it. And there wasn't the capacity for someone to teach me while I could do it. And so how I handled it was I picked my head up and said, well, I've been doing all of this side hustle, free work inside the organization as my pastime. I'm just going to look elsewhere. Um, and I didn't let the notion of not being in the space now deter me. And I just told people, I just started having conversations. And I was at a conference and I sat next to someone who I was working with at the time. And she was at a different company. We were working together on a project. And I said, I'm done. I'm done just trying to do this for free and for fun. I think I'm going to start putting my name out there. And lo and behold, she connected me to someone. She goes, you should talk to our CEO. She might have some ideas. Well, they didn't have a job, but she said, that CEO said, one of my very close friends oversees this at another company. You should talk to her. And because of those conversations and because of that discussion, um, she ended up having a role posted at that very moment in my space that she was able to bring me in as a candidate, and I ended up getting that job. I had to leave the company that I was with, but I got to cross that imaginary bridge of doing sales and marketing to doing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was only because I was crushed for not having been considered for this other position. So sometimes those biggest heartbreaks and challenges are what forces you to open that window or open that door and say, okay, I need to kind of go for it full throttle somewhere else. So that's mine.